And it's Jerry Ashton here with 15 Minutes of Fact on WGRNradio.com. And today we're going to be expanding our view of what happens with events that are associated with or connected with or will impact the Occupy Wall Street movement by talking to a young lady who has been selected by way of linktv.org and their Voices Up 2012 to be selected as a citizen journalist to attend the 2012 conventions. Now, it sounds like a pretty exciting adventure to me. I don't know how closely she or any of the people that are of our minds would be allowed to be close to the conventions, but apparently she will have her way there, and we're introducing her to you today and give you an idea of what her desires will be to see what will be happening there. So Jessica, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Jerry. It's nice to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure. Why don't you tell us a little bit first about Voices Up 2012 and how it is that you were selected as a citizen journalist by them.
Well, the idea behind this competition is to choose citizen journalists who can really represent what Americans are feeling about the issue of money in politics. And I submitted a video, an audition video for this competition because I thought it was a fascinating idea and I thought it's an issue which is important to me. And luckily, through getting votes and some interviews, I was selected.
Mm-hmm. What is it about your background that had you stand out enough to be seen as a candidate for this?
I think it was a combination of things. I have some experience in being in front of a camera before, which I think was a bit helpful. And also, I think representing my demographic, a group of just having graduated from college, I'm unemployed, searching for a job. It's a position a lot of young people find themselves in these days. And I think that played a role in being selected as well.
Well, since there isn't much of a voice that's provided for people of your age, and I notice I wasn't selected for this, but I'll let that slight pass me by in the interest of making sure that the real considerations of what's happening today that are impacting people 20s, 30s, and 40s now that are of tremendous concern, and I hopefully will be addressed at the conventions in some fashion. But that's things like student loans, getting jobs, morality issues. Would you like to go into any details or your thoughts about them?
Well, first of all, to talk about student loans, I think that it's hard to comprehend especially for a lot of politicians, because in general, a lot of politicians come from more well-to-do families where they probably don't have the same concerns of paying for college as a lot of people in my generation do. I'm not saying all politicians don't have that experience, but a lot of them do come from families with more money. And so it's hard to graduate into a job market in an economy with this type of crisis and to come out with student loans at an interest rate of, anywhere from 3 to 8%. And we're talking not just small loans. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars of loans. And that's a normal situation for a lot of people my age. And that's a big burden to take on just to get educated. And I think this is an issue that politicians need to be focusing on because education is important in the United States. This used to be something that we really valued. And I would hate to see this matter be overlooked for issues that don't matter so much to us, like homosexuality and abortion. These are not issues that are really that essential to people in my age group.
Well, they're not essential in the sense that these are not the things that determine a vote by, let's call it the youth group, your demographic.
Sure.
The vote is going to be based on whether or not people are paying attention to current contemporary needs that you folks have. And I'm talking about, when we're talking about a Congress that won't listen, there was a survey that showed 50% as opposed to 1% of the population at large, but 50% of the members of Congress happen to be millionaires. 50%. Now, how can they relate to your problems? And then when you talk about student loans, 3 to 5%, you'll be lucky to get that, because by the time they pack on penalties and other fees, you're lucky to get away with 12 or 15%. So you do have a real case. But what makes you think that anybody at the conventions are going to listen to you?
Well, I hope having Link TV and United Republic behind me and having their press credentials might give me a better shot at getting these interviews and chatting with these politicians. I don't know what would make them listen to me besides the fact that I, would push forward with my questions.
Well, not only that, but presumably, at least both parties trot out their best faces. And to be uncivil to someone who represents a demographic as yours wouldn't be too bright. But then again, we haven't seen a lot of bright things happening recently out there.
And the thing is, Jerry, I don't want to get out there. I don't want to be yelling. I don't want to be name calling. I want to have a dialogue, and I don't want to. Politics right now is so full of these expensive smear campaigns, and I don't want that kind of conversation. I really want to talk with these people and understand, do they really not see things from this perspective? Do they really think that the policies they're putting in place are long-sighted and good for the country? With special interest groups controlling so much of policy-making decisions, we're really not getting the types of policies in place that are long-sighted, that are really looking to the future of the United States. And that's really what we need right now, especially with the world changing at the rate that it is.
Well, certainly the need to battle corruption. If you take a look at what's happening out in the activist scene, on one side you have the Tea Party, which seems to have co-opted the Republicans. On the other side, you see Occupy Wall Street, which refuses to be co-opted by anybody. So are you going to be attempting to interview any of the politicians or people who are influenced by either of those two groups?
I'm ready and willing to open up a dialogue with anyone, and seeing that I'll be at the Republican and Democratic conventions, I think I'll have the opportunity to talk with a lot of different people from a lot of different political backgrounds.
Well, what would you hope to accomplish there? You're going to be involved in the Republican convention, which is the first step.
Right.
And then you'll have a short break, and that's only in 2 weeks from the time of this interview. So that's going to keep you busy. And then after that, you're going to travel to the Democratic convention, where you'll present your same credentials. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So what is it that you hope to achieve by being a citizen journalist and sponsored by an organization, Voices Up 2012 and Link TV?
I want to raise these issues. I think that today, youth, we consider political activism to be updating our Facebook status, but I don't think that that's enough. I want to put myself out there. I really want to try and give a voice to these people, to the average American struggling to pay for college. I'd like to give them a voice. This is what I want to do more than anything, is start a dialogue, get people talking, and just raise these issues. Well,
it's one thing to talk and raise issues. Are you going to put your thumb on a scale and be brave enough to put forward your own thoughts, such as, say, someone like Matt Taibbi? Or are you going to simply be the so-called fair and balanced like we find on Fox television?
You know, I'm a citizen journalist. I don't think I have to play those fair and balanced games, do I?
No, I don't think so. Not if you're going to be a real citizen and put forth not so much of an agenda as much as put forth the questions that need to be answered by those in power. And when the phrase back in my days, which was question authority, if it ever could be put to good use, it'd be in this day and age.
I don't have an agenda besides wanting to get my questions answered and wanting to know why my politicians aren't putting in place policies that are long-sighted, and why people of my generation are going to be saddled with the burden of debt. And you know, it's one of the great things about being a citizen journalist is going in. I don't have a boss back at the office who's going to be one of the great things about doing this type of event, being a citizen journalist, is I don't have to report back to anyone in my office. I'm not going to have an editor shaking their finger at me telling me that I was too far to the right or too far to the left. I can pretty much just say and ask the questions that are important to me and that I feel are important to my peers and my family. And that's one of the great things about this competition is there's no one censoring this.
Well, thank God for that. Considering the fact that free speech is now being confined to a certain block on a certain street or a certain political agenda, it's fairly close to a criminal activity by this point in time. So you certainly have my vote and you have my support in doing a great job there. And I was going to ask how others might be able to get in touch with you and reach you or reach your organization so that they too can be in support.
Well, there's a Link TV website. Let me see if I can find it for you here. That people can be following to. It's linktv.org/voicesup.
Actually, that's /.
Excuse me.
VOICES up. UP.
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
What about an email address for you?
You can reach me at jessica.eise@gmail.com. And I would be more than happy to be taking questions from people and considering putting them forward at the conventions.
And are you also on either Facebook or Twitter?
I am on Facebook, which you can find me with my email address.
And that address again is?
Jessica.eise@gmail.com.
And this is Jerry Ashton. That's writtenofusa@gmail.com. Speaking for WGRN TV's 15 Minutes of Fact. Thanking Jessica Eise for some time that she's spent with us, and in advance for the time that she's going to spend asking questions of our wonderful politicians at the Republican and the Democratic conventions. Is there any thought you'd like to leave people with, Jessica?
No, Jerry, I'm thrilled to have this opportunity, and I really hope to put forward some important questions.
Well, we're looking forward to that too, and we want to see it publicized far and wide. Thanks again, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Bye.
Bye-bye.